Thanks, Mr. Chair. And I say to Dr. Burgess and to Mr. Cole, if there's anybody who can craft legislation on a difficult subject like this, it is Karen Bass. She is one of the best legislators I've ever seen, and I've been doing this a while now. And her willingness to listen to everybody, to work with anybody, to get involved with groups that she may not particularly share a lot of things in common, but a willingness to work with them and listen to them gives me a lot of hope. And I think Tim Scott does the same kind of thing. And I'm so, to have a bill that my Republican colleagues might think is perfect today, well, that's not the legislative process. This is going to work out. And I just want to, I did do a side-by-side as to the House bill, the Senate bill, the executive order, and then Colorado actually passed very substantial legislation just in the last few weeks. And, the bill that we have before us addresses prosecution of police misconduct, qualified immunity reform, which I think is a very serious subject that has to be addressed, pattern and practice investigations. Is this something that's gone on for a long time? The heck is going on? Uniform standards, police misconduct, police reporting on use of force. And I would say to Mr. Armstrong, I'm a white male from suburban Denver, so I don't have the experiences of Mr. Hastings or maybe you, Mr. Armstrong, up in Bismarck or Fargo, there are a lot of similarities with what we do in Colorado, but they're certainly not the same. So I respect that. But as somebody just watching headlines and seeing more and more and more officer-involved shootings, officer-involved deaths of individuals, and then seeing that these are disproportionately affecting people of color and the brown communities and the black communities, that something's got to be done and something is wrong. And we had some major discussions in the Colorado area after Eric Garner and some of the protests and activism that came from there. And, again, we then have George Floyd and so many others. It goes on and on and on. This has to be addressed right now, and I'm very hopeful that Chairwoman Bass can get it done. So bans racial and religious profiling, bans chokeholds and carotid holds, which are just so dangerous. Use of force reforms and training, which is what Ms. Torres was talking about. Stops militarizing law enforcement. I mean, we've seen over the course of the last 10, 15, 20 years, just continued escalation of lethal power. And on both sides, maybe the criminals and then coupled with the law enforcement, and it results in a lot of death. Body cameras, bans no-knock warrants, makes lynching a federal crime, which should have been done a long time ago. There is overlap with the Senate bill, Mr. Cole, and little overlap on pattern and practice, a little overlap on standards, a little overlap on police misconduct, little overlap on police reporting on use of force, a little overlap on banning racial and religious profiling, a little overlap on banning chokeholds. Then they're both identical, I think, on lynching should be a federal crime. So there is a lot of overlap, but neither one, and there's going to have to be compromise, obviously. And I just want to thank Ms. Bass. Can you tell us, you've mentioned you've had some conversations with the Senate and with different organizations. Can you just elaborate on that a touch, and then after that I'll yield back.